Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back. 6:09, Tuesday, October 11th, 45 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app at WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Robyn Albanese. She is a high school English teacher at Toms River High School North, but we're only going to talk about that kind of a little bit because we're really here to talk about hashtag Toms River Rocks. So good morning, Robyn. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So tell us all what Toms River Rocks is all about.
All right. Toms River Rocks is basically a public art display, and it is an initiative that will hopefully spark some community involvement and creativity amongst the residents of Toms River in an effort to really just bring people out and kind of doing things that they may not normally do.
So what does that mean? What do you mean? Like doing what they normally wouldn't do? Because I could think of a lot of things that I wouldn't normally do, but I don't know if that's exactly falling in your spectrum.
Well, I think my vision, which I know, we can get into more later on, is that people will be interested in creating things that they haven't usually had a forum to do. And then the entire thing premises on kind of like a scavenger hunt. And since Toms River is so large, I'm hoping that it'll kind of take off in this Pokemon-esque sort of fashion.
Okay. In this Pokemon-esque. So I told you there was going to be a format of how we rolled, right? But now I'm stuck. So we're not going down that road just yet. So a scavenger hunt. So I thought Toms River Rocks was kind of like we're using rocks, right, and kind of putting images or kind of designing them like kind of a creativity thing. So what's the idea of a scavenger hunt?
Okay, so if you're creating a rock,
Yep.
You're essentially taking it outside into some kind of public place within Toms River, placing it sort of in plain sight.
Okay.
To be later found. And you post clues essentially to the Facebook group. And so it will, if it works out, create this stir to kind of go out and search for the rocks and then post what you found, and it becomes kind of a community-wide hunt.
What happens like when my 12-year-old is like walking down the street and she's like sees a pretty rock that's like sitting there on the side that she's like, whoa, check it out. Somebody like drew something on this colorful rainbow rock and she puts the rock in her pocket and now it's gone.
Well, that's what we want to happen.
Oh, you want it to happen?
Yes. So the idea is either you can admire the rock. Great. You have three choices. Admire the rock, pick up the rock and move it for somebody else, so you're going to relocate the rock. Or you may take the rock home if maybe it speaks to you in some type of way. And then if that's what you decide to do, the whole idea is that you would then create your own piece to put back out into the town.
Okay. And I guess the big key here is that that everybody kind of is understanding what's going on here, right? Because it should be like kind of like, oh look, that's one of those rocks, right? Because if they don't understand what's going on, they're just like walking around town seeing lots of colorful rocks.
Yes. Well, on the back of each rock, it is tagged with Toms River Rocks. Kind of leads you to go to our Facebook group and then from there. Okay.
All right, cool. Well, listen, we already have a phone call. So, here we go. So who do we have, Zach?
We have Pierre in Toms River.
Pierre. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. But, Pierre, I'm going to go on a limb and say you're calling for Robyn. So what's going on?
I just wanted, my kids are involved in this, and to kind of attest to what Robyn said about getting people out and doing things that they haven't done. It has gotten us out and perhaps seen places in Toms River that we wouldn't normally go to. It has forced my kids to put down the phone, step away from the TV, and do some creative work at the kitchen table. And it kind of has forced us as a family to do this together, where perhaps ordinarily we wouldn't be doing that. We'd be on our phones or doing something else. And then it gives us more time when we're out in the car going wherever we're going. So it has forced us to spend time together and perhaps see parts of Toms River that we wouldn't normally go to.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that, Pierre. Really appreciate it. Robyn, this is where you say thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Pierre.
Good job.
I have one question for Robyn. Does she see this as something that would be seasonal, where perhaps you would do it, up till Christmas and then stop and then restart it to kind of, maybe resurge interest, or is it something that's going to go on, indefinitely?
Well, I think based on interest, we will kind of see how things go. The way I foresee this happening is that we will create, if you're familiar with the Facebook group, then you obviously know about Rocktoberfest. So I'm thinking if we could do something within each month, whether the rocks are hidden outside or we do things throughout the school district. I know the Girl Scouts have kind of expressed some interest. So if it's something we can continue on month to month, I definitely want to explore that. If it has to be seasonal, then we'll do that too.
And of course, you're going to rock around the Christmas tree, correct?
I mean, of course.
Pierre, on that note, we have to cut you off because that was bad even for me. So, thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Wow. We had to. It was going so well, and then.
Right.
Rocker. Anyway,
it's those rock
let me ask you. I think it could be a lot more fun at Christmas time, actually, if you were able to kind of look. If it snowed and you were looking for rocks. I mean, that would make it add a whole new level of excitement to the activity.
It would definitely intensify things.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So it sounds fun, right? I mean, what's the desired outcome? It's to get people more creative. For people to see art as kind of fun and exciting. What's the desired outcome?
I mean, I'm a resident here, obviously, and I grew up here. So for me to see exactly what Pierre was just explaining, this idea of kids kind of staying inside and being attached to their cell phones, this was kind of just a funny idea on a Sunday morning that I've now gotten a lot of good feedback from parents, teachers, principals that are interested in getting their schools involved.
Cool.
So I think the overall goal is just to kind of like remind everyone why we love Toms River.
Cool.
And go from there.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little about how you got into teaching and how you got into actually what you do to earn a living, and then also I'm going to ask you what I'm starting to ask of all my guests, which is who is the world leader that you most look up to and respect? If you had to name just one world leader. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
The Sean Hannity Show, this afternoon at 3. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin returns next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. It is, 6:20-ish, something like that. Who knows? So, Robyn, so you're an English teacher.
I am.
So how did you decide to get into teaching?
Well, I started, obviously... I grew up here in Toms River. I think I mentioned that before. So as a Toms River resident, did the old OCC route, and that was good for me. But I really had no idea what I was going to do, where I was going to kind of land at the end of all of it. So through a few years of trial and tribulation and kind of figuring things out, I went back to school. And I did so at a later time. And it was good for me because I really kind of had the ability to hone in on something I enjoyed. And so that for me was English. And I went back to school really when I was 25. So I had a later start. And teaching was really my first choice because I think I kind of questioned, how am I 25 years old and I'm unemployed and just starting college? And I don't want to say that it was due to the influence of any one teacher or anything like that, but I think just the community as a whole, I really kind of fell in this big pond and didn't really know where I fit.
Right.
So it inspired me to want to teach so that I can kind of guide students to maybe not make that mistake and kind of figure things out a little bit faster.
Okay. So you've been teaching at High School North since you started, or?
Yes. I actually student taught there. So it was a really good experience. I student taught there. I worked temporarily at High School South, and then I got hired at North 5 years ago.
Okay. And so since I know Ed Keller always listens to the show, you love it there, right?
I love North.
That's
In
great.
fact, he did tell me he was going to send an email to the staff about this. And I hope
good.
he didn't.
That's good. I mean, if we can get like 10 or 15 additional listeners, that would quadruple, I think, our listener base. So that's pretty strong. Are we still in ratings period, by the way, Zach?
I think so.
Oh, good. So that's important. So that'd be great. I hope. Thank you, Mr. Keller, if you're listening. Really appreciate that.
Just don't mention that, though.
Yeah, I can't mention we're in a ratings period, right?
No.
So Robyn, I find it unusual though because I notice that you have a tendency to write in lowercase letters. Now, I'm going to speak on behalf of parents everywhere, saying that it's very odd for an English teacher to write in all lowercase letters. And how do you reconcile that in your mind when you're teaching today's youth how they should write going forward? Go ahead, take it away.
All right, Jeremy. I'm happy to tell you that it is not a case of do as I say, not as I do. In the classroom, I do make a conscious effort to use capitalized letters wherever I'm supposed to. But I do tell the students that is my thing, as I mentioned to you earlier. And sometimes I slip. So I have a very funny story, actually, that I can share with you. A colleague of mine came in my classroom one day, and he noticed on the board there was, of all words, Bible was not capitalized. Okay. And he commented on it, and he kind of gave a dig at the other teacher, thinking like, look at this person, like they didn't even capitalize Bible. And it was me. Ooh. So it was a very funny moment, and I kind of had to explain to that person, like, no, that's my thing, and I try not to do it in the classroom. But for my own personal use, I just prefer lowercase lettering.
Yeah. So just so we could close the loop on this, and so why is it again that you prefer lowercase lettering?
Well, I find capital letters aesthetically displeasing.
Right. Aesthetically displeasing capital letters. So it's hard, I start to wonder, hey, is English the right choice? Maybe you could have been an art teacher. I mean, there seems to be a creative side, right? Do you look back and say, well, maybe I went down the wrong road?
No, I love literature, and I love talking about literature, and I love writing. So for me, it all comes to personal style, which is really why I love to teach English, because I do have this funny thing with the lowercase letters. And I tell students, if what you're doing, if you're producing original material and it's, well thought out and you have things to say, really the form kind of comes later. With the artistic side, I don't think anyone would disagree that I have a creative flair. I love to design things. I go crazy with bulletin boards. I'm like that kooky English teacher. Right. So that's why I love this Toms River Rocks project, because it kind of gives me the ability to have this professional life as an English teacher and paint rocks.
So now I'm bringing up a serious topic for a second, because there's a perception that because of the world of park testing, Common Core, all of the things that teachers are kind of asked to do, that all creativity has been stunted in the classroom. Do you find that to be the case?
No, and I'm actually really glad that you just brought that up. I'm a part of this committee at High School North that we just started this year. It's an art-infused committee where we're really trying to incorporate the arts in every single subject. And I find that most of us do that anyway. It's very important to kind of give students the ability to express themselves. And, whether you're defending a piece of literature or you're defending why a rap song is as good as it is or as good as they think it is. Right. You can kind of make it work for your interests.
Cool. We're big Fetty Wap fans here on Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, right, Zach?
Yes, and Animal Pack.
And Animal Pack, of course. We'll play some of Zach's. We'll drop some of his rhymes on you in the break. When we come back, I want to talk about the rules of rock hunting and rock creation, because I think you may have mentioned that we don't want to be stealing rocks from inappropriate rock places. Anyway, whatever that looks like. And then we'll give you the magic wand and we'll go from there, okay? Robyn Albanese, Toms River Rocks. Hashtag Toms River Rocks. Look it up on Facebook. Back after this.
The news never stops at WOBMAM.com. Get the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin, 634, Tuesday, October 11th, 45 degrees, getting up 62 today. WOBM AM 1160, 1310, News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the radio, Pup app, and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Robyn Albanese. She is talking to us about hashtag Tom's River Rocks. So, okay, rules of engagement for rock collecting, rock finding, whatever. Hit me.
Okay, well, on our Facebook group, the rules are there in a pretty descriptive way. But to just give you an overview, you essentially find rocks and paint them. So it's really, we're not like saving lives here. However, if you are finding rocks, I mean, they should come from your own property. You shouldn't take anything out of, that's been like forever embedded in nature.
Right.
Don't want to go to like the mall where they have those really great river rocks because they've clearly been purchased by the mall.
Right.
But you can buy rocks. So any craft store, any home improvement store. I have had people look into calling landscaping companies. So we have some jokes at school that there's going to be a truck at my driveway at some point with me in the hard hat kind of like backing it up like boop, boop, getting the delivery. So I don't know how far this will go. But for the meantime, if people are kind of participating, they should purchase rocks or use them from their own yards.
Right. So you are not endorsing the theft of rocks from outside sources, nor can you be held responsible for the repercussions therein. Correct.
Same goes for placement. On our group, I mentioned that I think public places, mostly parks, would be a great place to hide them. Outside of businesses and establishments, which would just kind of like generate traffic for those places. But, out of the schools, we don't want it to become an issue with students kind of stealing other kids' rocks and things like that. I just want it to be a fun activity that gets people engaged without getting in trouble.
So no bullying for rocks.
You'd be surprised. The things I'm reading at Hamilton Rocks.
Really?
It's pretty intense down there.
In Hamilton?
Yeah.
Well, it's Hamilton. I mean, that's like it's like the hood. I mean, you're Hamilton. It's right next to Princeton, for God's sakes. It's a very tough environment down there. This, and by the way, this project doesn't work so well in the inner city, right? Like you don't recommend this. You don't recommend this like in, no,
Newark
not so
rocks.
much.
I mean, anything rocks.
Like this isn't going to solve the shooting and violence in Chicago necessarily.
Right, Jeremy. Let's be realistic.
Okay.
I don't think we can.
I'm just trying to put it all together here. Okay. So speaking of putting it all together, it's that opportunity for you. We're going to give you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make an impact to change something in the world. Robyn, I can only imagine what you're going to do because we've learned so much today already. So what are you doing with that magic wand?
All right. If I had a magic wand, I guess I would just use it to spark creativity in everyone. And I think we are doing that with this project. My dad is involved, and never did I think he would be into painting rocks, but he's doing it with my nieces and nephew. And so we have teachers that are teaching AP chemistry, trying to find ways to incorporate it in their lessons. So I think that is it. It's just to kind of like wave the wand and get everybody involved.
Okay. So you want to sprinkle this I feel like when you want to get everyone involved, that's more of a pixie dust thing. Like you really got to sprinkle it over the whole town.
So I went a little too far.
No. The wand, I think the wand's more directed at a single event. Whereas I think this is more like it kind of needs to wash over a whole, you know what I mean? That feels more pixie dust for me. I'm just saying, but it's okay. Why don't you tell folks where they could learn more about Tom's River Rocks? Because you also mentioned, when we were talking about this in the break, you just kind of threw out like Macaroni Kid, and I'm like, what does that mean? And you're like, I don't know.
All right, so. MacaroniKid.com. It's something new to me, actually.
Okay.
They reached out to me after they found Tom's River Rocks, and it's basically a resource for residents to find out about family events and community activities. So there will be an article published on Thursday on their website, and it's MacaroniKid.com. So there'll be some information about Tom's River Rocks. We're on Facebook as well, and you can search Tom's River Rocks, hashtag Tom's River Rocks. And we ask that if you do get involved, you just tag all of the rocks so that we can use them to locate, where the rocks have been, where they're going, and who's doing it.
What do you mean tag them?
So on the back of the rocks, basically we're posting, or writing or painting, whatever you choose to do, the hashtag so that when someone does find it, they can, they can then find us.
So can I make a suggestion? And I don't know. I mean, this isn't my thing, but it seems like if I look at the rock, right, and I'm going to look you by the way, so skillfully painted my face on a rock, right, which is frightening on so many levels. I look at this rock and I say to write hashtag Tom's River Rocks. I'm wondering if it even fits
on the back.
It does?
Yeah.
No, I know. So you think like
if you use lowercase letters, you can fit anything actually.
On that note, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. Robyn Albanese, hashtag Tom's River Rocks. This is also, by the way, an English teacher who is teaching your youth every day.
With capital letters.
With capital letters, as long as it's not the word Bible, because that confuses her at times. Robyn, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, cool. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, back with more after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.